Have you ever started texting a girl, thought everything was going great, but then suddenly things start to feel off? Maybe she gets less responsive, the energy shifts, or worse, you start to panic and start reaching out to her more? Well, today we're going to look at an actual texting exchange from one of the guys that I coached and where he tried to move things from a match to a meetup, but along the way, a couple critical mistakes were made. So I'm going to show you exactly where he went wrong and how he could have turned it around and how you can avoid making those same mistakes. So in this video, you are going to learn why your texting tone matters more than you actually think, the subtle cues that make you look needy even when you don't realize it, how to lead with confidence and set up dates in a masculine way, and most importantly, how to keep her curious and engaged without overdoing it. So by the end of this breakdown, you're gonna have the tools to text with purpose, lead conversations effortlessly, and leave her excited to see you in person. So if you're a guy who's ever struggled with texting, then I want you to stick around because this video will change that for you. All right, so let's take a look at his exchange here. And at this point in the conversation, they've had a bit of banter, but this is right before he attempts to ask her out. So, message number one here, he writes, "Hey hun, how is everything? Have you been to Ireland before?" And she responds by saying, "Hey, been busy these days, but good." "No, I haven't. Are you there now?" Okay, so far not bad. He's keeping it light, but here's where the first stumble happens. He replies, "Yeah, I am, just for the weekend. I was gonna solicit you for travel tips." All right, so here's the problem here. Solicit you for travel tips. Now, it's playful, but it sends the wrong signal. So let's unpack what this actually communicates. By asking for her guidance, he's unintentionally signaling dependence. Now, this might seem harmless, but at the start of an interaction, every little cue matters. Women are going to be drawn to men who appear confident and self-sufficient, not the guy who's looking to her for advice or validation. So, what's the fix? You flip this around to highlight your independence and spark curiosity. And instead of asking her for travel tips, say something along the lines of, "Yeah, just for the weekend. Let's see how much trouble I can get into over here." Saying something like this keeps it light and playful while framing you as the guy who creates his own adventure. So, why does this sentence work better? Because it does two things. It shifts the focus back onto you, keeping her intrigued. It subtly frames you as a leader, someone who doesn't rely on others for ideas or plans. And these small shifts can make a huge difference in how you are perceived. When he asks her for advice, it subtly puts her in the position of providing value to him instead of the other way around. When you do this early on, it flips the masculine-feminine dynamic. You want to establish yourself as the leader in the interaction, not the guy who's asking for her guidance. So when you say something like, "Yeah, just for the weekend, let's see how much trouble I can get into," this sparks curiosity without you looking like you need her to be the leader and help you navigate this new place. Now she's intrigued and she might ask you, "Well, what kind of trouble?" Or, "What are you up to over there?" Boom. Now you've got her leaning in and wondering about you. And saying something like this brings intrigue and a little danger. There's an edgy playfulness that comes along with it rather than simply asking her what to do, obeying, and getting on her program. It's your program, your adventure, live it. All right, now let's look at the third message. She says, "Just the weekend? Vacation trip?" And then he responds, "Both. I'm coming back Monday. What do you think about getting a drink next weekend? I know we were flirting a lot on Tinder, but I think that sounds nice too." All right, so this is where things start to unravel a bit, okay? So let's dissect this. First, he over-explains with saying, "Both. I'm coming back Monday." Now, this isn't terrible, but it's just not necessary. You don't need to narrate your entire schedule. Keep it short and sweet. Now, here is the bigger issue. When he says, "What do you think about getting a drink next weekend?" It's a question that comes off as overly accommodating and even approval seeking. Instead of leading with confidence, he's essentially asking her, "Hey, do you approve of my plan to ask you out?" Women do not want to feel like they're the ones setting the pace. They want you to take charge. And then he adds, I know we were flirting on Tinder, but I think that sounds nice too. This part is just redundant and weakens the message. It's like he's trying to justify why meeting up is a good idea, and there's no need for that. So here's the better way to say it. Let's grab a drink next week when you're free. This is direct, it's confident, and it cuts out all of the fluff. You're giving her the framework and letting her respond without overloading her with unnecessary details. Masculine energy is about decisiveness, and this approach signals just that. All right, so we'll look at the fourth message where she responds, not much. We can play tennis on Tuesday if you like. And he replies, that sounds nice, let's do it. Now, this is a pivotal moment in the conversation, okay? So she throws out an alternative plan. And instead of holding his ground, he immediately adapts to her suggestion. Now, I'm not saying you can't agree to her ideas ever, but the way he does it gives his leadership away too much. And here's what's happening. By saying, that sounds nice, let's do it, he's essentially letting her take the lead. And this shifts the dynamic in her favor, and over time, that can erode the masculine to feminine polarity. Here's how to handle this better. Tennis sounds fun, but I'm going to be coming from a busy day. Why don't we grab drinks and then next time we play some tennis? So when you say it like this, you're acknowledging her suggestion while subtly guiding the interaction back to your frame. It shows leadership, but it's not dismissive. When she agrees with that, then you respond with the definitive details, the time and place, on the day that she said that she's free, so she doesn't have to do any planning or thinking, and it can just simply be in her feminine and follow your masculine leadership. You want to see if she's flexible. Plus, she essentially completely overlooked his original offer to get drinks, so you also want to see if she's a control freak and wanting to lead instead of being flexible and going along with what you've planned. These are all small things that are important to pay attention to as you interact, because at the end of the day, if you do want a girl who is feminine and on board with your program, then you have got to have plans and be able to lead her. Otherwise, you will inevitably end up gravitating towards a masculine type women who want to wear the pants. Texting is about more than just communication. It's about setting the tone for the dynamic between you and her. Every message you send is a chance to showcase your confidence and leadership. But here's the key. You can still be charming and playful, just don't overdo it. A little wit and humor go a long way, but brevity is your best friend, especially at the beginning of a relationship. Think of it like a great joke. It hits harder when it's short and leaves her wanting more. So remember, always lead with decisiveness. Keep your messages short, focused, and punchy. Spark curiosity, but don't over-explain. And when you combine leadership with just the right amount of charm, everything will change. The dynamic flips, and suddenly she's leaning into your world, not the other way around. The secret is to leave her intrigued, not exhausted by the exchange. So, if this breakdown resonated with you, then I want you to download my free guide, The Gentleman's 12-Point Checklist to Dropping Panties. So you can find that down in the link below. And if you have a texting challenge or any other relation challenge of your own, let me know, and I might just feature it in a video just like this one. All right, guys, that is it for this one. We will see you in the next video.